All right, so now I'm gonna apply the hot lather to his neck. And that's not turned on, kind of. All right, so now we're gonna apply the warm lather to his neck before we do the shave. Why do none of these work? On Henry today, we are gonna be doing a high skin fade. Henry, he does like to get a hard part, and so I'm gonna bring a 1.5 all the way up to this line to begin. So since Henry does like to do his skin fades high, we are gonna take it a little bit higher than his temple. So we're not gonna have a whole lot of room to blend here. So we just need to make sure that this is, all the hair is taken off with that 1.5 so we don't have to come back through. This is my 0 gap clipper. So this is gonna be a lot closer than what you would normally have your clippers. So I'm gonna make my skin guideline right here for that high fade. And with my fades that I do that are really short on the sides where I really need to get that hair off, these brushes are perfect. They're super soft and it gets all that excess hair off so you can really see where you're blending and what needs to be faded and there's not any excess hair there. And it's always good to use the mirror as a reference because sometimes with you staring at the head just with your plain eye too much, you can always double check in the mirror to see if everything looks straight and even. So I like to spin him around. Looks like we're pretty even now that that 0 guide has been made. So I'm gonna go in with my 1 guard and take this down. So I used a 1.5 here, so now I'm gonna take that 1 and go just a little bit below that 1.5 that I used. And it's good to go back and forth between like which way you're taking your clippers because the hair can grow in a lot of different patterns. So it's always good to make sure that you get all of those hairs taken out. So going back and forth between which way you're taking those clippers. We're gonna go in with my 1/2 and we're gonna push our lever all the way down. So that's gonna open that blade up and we're gonna take out this line right here. So this was our skin and this is the line that we need to take out with our 1/2. When I'm with the 1/2, I like to go in first with my blade going up like this. To kind of get like that bulkiness of the line out. And once I see that that bulk is out, I like to turn it on its corner where I'm using just these corners of the edge where I can kind of define that line and take out those bold spots. And that's gonna help with that fade get a little bit more detailed. Because with Henry's hair, he has a little bit of dark spots in it, so it looks like it's not faded. So you just gotta kind of sometimes go in there and hit those dark spots with a little bit shorter of a guard just to make sure it doesn't look too thick and make sure it looks nice and blended. So now that we've gone all the way around with that 1/2, I'm going to go in and use my 1/2 guard. So I'm gonna clip this on so when you keep this shut, your lever closed, it's gonna make it an even 1/2. Then when you open it up, it's pretty much gonna make it a 1. So we're gonna fiddle back and forth between that to, if you can see, there's still just a little bit of a line left. So this guard is gonna help take out that bulkiness and kinda fade that just a little bit better. So I'm gonna start with my clipper open just to make sure, because you always wanna start more with an open guard so you're taking off less hair at a time. And I just go through this kind of quickly to take that bulk out. It's pretty much just to take out the heaviness, like the dark spots really. So then I'm gonna actually, on this, I'm gonna go in between open and close just to close it a little bit more. And as you can hear, usually it's gonna take a little bit of that hair off. All right, and now I'm gonna close it all the way so that we're at a 1/2. And we're just gonna literally hit this bottom little dark spot right here. right, and it's always good to reference back to your mirror to make sure that all of your lines have been taken out. So I can still kind of see a little bit right here. So I'm gonna take my half guard off and I'm gonna go a little open from my 0 on my clippers, and I'm gonna knock this little line out right here. Now that, since I work down, I'm gonna use my electric shaver for this skin, and this is my last step that I will do on the fade. So something that I learned that's really important when I'm doing a skin fade, you always wanna go up, but what's gonna help blend this line through there is when you tap at it, because when you tap down at it, it's going with the grain of the hair, so it's not gonna take so much of that where it's gonna raise your line too high. So you're gonna come up, and then once you've hit that line of where you know that you need it faded, we're just gonna tap that out. And it's good too with the electric shaver to kind of go every direction on the head to make sure you're getting it as close as possible, because the people that get skin fades will probably go home and mess with it for the first like 2 hours if they're messing with their hair. And then it's good to also have this brush, because this actually takes off the first layer of, not like, that sounds really bad, but like the first layer of skin on your head, you know, so it's super like exfoliating, so it's gonna leave a lot of residue on the head. So it's nice to have this brush to kind of brush that away, because it's gonna give you that where you can see your line, just fade that and tap it. All right, I'm just gonna do a quick little re-glance through the mirror to make sure we got all of our points here. All right, I'm gonna go back through with my trimmers just to kind of touch that up and make sure we didn't leave any extra spots out when we did the electric shaver, just to kind of go in and touch up. Then I'm gonna go through and we're gonna blend this top part to what we just did. So I'm gonna use my blending comb, do clipper over comb, kind of pulling that away from the head a bit. We don't wanna take too much because his calic right here can get a little crazy. So we wanna make sure we fade that really nice over to the side. I'm literally just hitting this corner, this little ledge right here so it blends, because we are just gonna freshen up his ends and not do too much on the top here. Flyaways off and just clean up those ends, nothing too crazy. And with Henry's hair on top, he likes to push it over to the side. So we want to make sure we leave a little length on this right side so that he has enough to be able to push over and it doesn't stick up. Push it up over like that, and then we're just going to blend this other side to this blended side of his hair. All right, and then sometimes he holds a little bit of a darker spot on this one side where we do get it blended. Because there is a big contrast between the color of his hair here. So I usually go in and just hit those ends with my thinning shears to kind of take out all the dark and a little bit of that weight off of there. And now we are going to go into his hard part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my line, which he still already has it, but we wanna make sure it's nice and clean. I'm gonna do it with my trimmers, and I'm gonna go in with my straight razor and knock that out to make it a little bit more clean. And then one rule of thumb too on a hard part is when you are, since he already has his hard part, we want to make sure that we are putting our trimmer just like towards this part rather than going up towards the longer part, because if you continue to take your line this way, you're going to get higher and higher and higher. So it would be better just to clean out down, make that line clean. So you're going to touch up his hard part. Shut up back there. I'm trying to like. Now I'm gonna go in with my straight razor. We added a new blade to that. So we're just gonna come in here on this hard part and really just define the line pretty much. So we are gonna use the straight razor to clean up his neck. Undo here, we're gonna tuck this towel, make sure we don't get any hair falling in there. And then we get our hot towel. We use astringent here just to give a little bit extra smelly goods, I guess we'll say. I'm gonna put this here. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Definitely make sure the towel is not too hot for somebody's neck. We're not trying to give somebody like 3rd-degree burn here. So we're gonna let that sit for a second. And usually at this time I would switch out my blades, but since we already used the blade on his hard part, we're just gonna let him sit and relax for a second. All right, so now we're gonna apply the warm lather to his neck before we do the shave. All right, so now I'm gonna apply the hot lather to his neck, and that's not turned on, time out. Now we are going to remove the towel and apply the lather to the neck. And you want to make sure when you're doing a shave, most of the time on the back of the neck, the hair is pretty vellus and it's used to being cut down pretty low, so you don't have to pull as much. But I always like to pull because sometimes the skin can get kind of junked together. So it's nice to keep that tension so that you don't nick or anything like that. You want to make sure you look and make sure if they have any bumps or anything on their neck, because you don't want the razor to nick that either. How does that look, Henry?
It looks great.
Good? And he is all handsome again, and we will see him in a week.